A 28-year-old young man, born and raised in Rio de Janeiro, works as a civil engineer in a large construction company. Despite having a stable career, he feels like something is missing in his life, as if he is destined for something greater, but he can't figure out what it is. Mateus's girlfriend, a dedicated and determined lawyer. She is pragmatic and does not believe in destiny or premonitions, but supports Mateus in his searches, even when they seem pointless. A 75-year-old woman, known in the neighborhood as a wise seer. She runs a small shop selling esoteric items and is respected by those who believe in her predictions. Matthew was always an ambitious young man, but his life seemed to have settled into a routine that he found comfortable but lackluster. Working in the construction of large projects, he earned well and was in a serious relationship with Ana Beatriz. Even though everything seemed to be in the right place, Mateus couldn't help but feel an inner emptiness, a feeling that something was missing from his life. The story begins with a tone of light restlessness and searching. Mateus is shown as a character who, despite being in a successful position, feels a constant restlessness that he cannot understand or explain. His search for purpose is what moves the narrative, and this search will lead him to discover his true destiny. The main conflict arises when, on a rainy afternoon, Mateus, tired of routine and monotony, decides to enter Dona Maria das Graças' store. Although he has always been skeptical about predictions and destiny, something attracted him to that small corner store, full of candles, incense, and mystical images. Dona Maria, with her penetrating eyes and serene voice, tells him that she was waiting for his visit. She reveals to him that he is destined for something much greater than he imagines, something that will change his life forever. Matthew, skeptical, laughs nervously, but curiosity overwhelms him. She then gives him a prophetic word, saying that if he follows his heart and believes, he will discover his true destiny. Matthew leaves the store with a mix of disbelief and hope. The prophetic word keeps echoing in his mind, but he doesn't know how or where to start seeking this destiny that was promised to him. From that moment on, his life begins to change in ways he could never imagine, taking him on a journey of self-discovery, challenges, and eventually the realization of his destiny. After his visit to Dona Maria das Graças' store, Mateus begins to notice small changes in his life. The emptiness he felt now seems to be filled by a growing restlessness, a need to discover what that prophetic word really meant. He can't get the prediction out of his mind, even when he tries to focus on his work and his relationship with Ana Beatriz. Despite his initial skepticism, Mateus begins researching spirituality and destiny, something he had never done before. He visits libraries, watches videos about self-knowledge, and even participates in lectures and workshops about life purpose. These new experiences begin to open his mind to possibilities he had never considered, but they also take him away from his routine and the people around him. Matthew's search for answers begins to impact his work. His dedication to the construction company diminishes, and he begins to make mistakes he never would have made before. His colleagues notice the change, and his worried boss calls him in for a talk. Mateus is faced with the reality that if he continues at this pace, he could lose his job. At home, the situation with Ana Beatriz also begins to deteriorate. She, being pragmatic and realistic, cannot understand why Mateus is so obsessed with something that, for her, makes no sense. They begin to argue more frequently, and Ana begins to question whether Mateus is still the same man she wanted to spend the rest of her life with. The tension between the two grows, and Ana suggests that he seek professional help, which Matthew refuses, believing he needs to continue his search alone. During this phase, Mateus finds unexpected support in a new friend, Lucas, a coworker who he always considered just an acquaintance. Luke, upon learning of Matthew's difficulties, reveals that he also went through a phase of spiritual search and that this helped him find his own path. He becomes a confidant and mentor to Mateus, encouraging him to follow his heart, but also not to completely move away from his current life. Another important character that emerges is Dona Maria, whom Mateus visits again in search of more answers. She guides you through your doubts and fears, helping you understand that destiny is not something that just happens, but something that needs to be achieved through choices and actions. She challenges him to make difficult decisions, to face his fears, and to believe in himself. In the midst of this turmoil, Mateus receives a job offer that seems to be the answer to all his financial and professional problems. A large construction company in Sao Paulo wants to hire you to lead an ambitious project. The proposal comes with a much higher salary and the opportunity for growth that he always wanted. Anna sees this as an opportunity to start over, and Lucas also encourages him to accept it. But Mateus is divided. He realizes that, by accepting this offer, he would be abandoning his search for the true destiny that Dona Maria prophesied. This proposal becomes the turning point of the story, forcing Matthew to choose between the safe and traditional path he has always followed, or the uncertain journey in search of something greater. He thinks about Dona Maria's words, about destiny and what it really means to discover your destiny. He realizes that, despite all his searching, the answer was always there, in the people and in the choices he made daily. He understands that his destiny is not something grand or distant, but rather the result of small actions and decisions he makes every day. One of the most difficult decisions Mateus faces is about the future of his career. With tight finances and the responsibility of caring for his mother, he wonders if he should return to the corporate market and accept a position that guarantees him financial security. However, he realizes that this would mean abandoning the community work that has become a vital part of his life and which gives him a sense of purpose. After much reflection and discussions with Anna, Mateus decides to continue with community work, even though he knows that this means living with less. He and Anna adjust their plans, decide to postpone some material dreams, such as buying a bigger house, and focus on what really matters to them: the health of their family, their relationship with each other, and the contribution they can make to the community. Mateus' relationship with Anna undergoes a significant transformation. They become more partners, more open, and more understanding of each other. The difficulties they face together strengthen them, and the love they feel for each other is renewed. Anna also begins to become more involved in Mateus's community work, using her skills as a lawyer to help people in the community with legal issues. Mateus' relationship with Dona Clara also deepens. The experience of almost losing her makes him value the time he spends with her even more. They talk about the past, about life, and about the decisions that Mateus made. Dona Clara, although fragile, becomes a source of wisdom and support for Mateus, encouraging him to follow his heart and not be afraid to make difficult choices. Throughout this period, Mateus learns to live with uncertainty, to value the present, and to find joy in the little things. He discovers that happiness is not in great achievements or in meeting external expectations, but in living authentically, in harmony with your values and surrounded by the people you love. He becomes more grateful, more resilient, and more aware of his role in the world. Mateus and Anna are more united than ever, but life still holds a great challenge for them. After months of recovery, Dona Clara has an unexpected relapse and returns to the hospital in critical condition. The news deeply shakes Matthew, who was beginning to believe that things were finally stabilizing. The time in the hospital seems to drag on, and Matthew is forced to face the fear of losing his mother for good. He feels that despite all the growth and positive changes in his life, the loss of Dona Clara would be a blow that he doesn't know if he could bear. Anna remains by his side, offering support, but also shares Mateus' anguish. While waiting for news from the medical team, Mateus is overcome by a mixture of emotions: fear, sadness, and even a feeling of helplessness. He remembers Dona Maria's words and begins to question again what destiny really means. He realizes that, no matter how much he has tried to control his path, there are greater forces at play, and acceptance of these forces is part of what it means to truly live. At dawn, the doctors inform Mateus that Dona Clara's situation is critical and that the chances of survival are very small. They prepare him for the worst, but they also encourage him to spend as much time with her as possible. Mateus, devastated, enters his mother's room, where she is unconscious, surrounded by machines and tubes. He holds Dona Clara's hand and starts talking to her, even though he knows she might not hear. Matthew opens his heart, confessing all his doubts, fears, and regrets. He asks for forgiveness for not having been more present before the accident, for having walked away in search of something that, deep down, was always by his side. Anna enters the room and, seeing Mateus so vulnerable, feels the depth of love and respect he has for his mother. She joins him, holding his other hand, and together they say a silent prayer, asking Dona Clara for peace and comfort, regardless of what the future holds. Suddenly, something incredible happens. As Mateus holds his mother's hand, he feels a slight squeeze. Dona Clara, still unconscious, responds to her son's touch. As if, on some level, she was aware of his presence and the words of love he was saying. Mateus, moved, feels that, despite all the pain, his mother knows he is there, and this gives him a sense of peace. In the following days, against all odds, Dona Clara begins to show signs of recovery. The doctors are surprised by the unexpected improvement in her condition, attributing it to her willpower and the emotional support she received from her family. Mateus realizes that, even in the most difficult moments, love and connection with the people he loves are what really matter and what can make a difference. Over time, Dona Clara recovers slowly, but enough to leave the hospital and return home. She still needs care, but she is conscious and happy to be with her son and Anna. This experience further strengthens the relationship between them, and Mateus finally understands that his destiny is not something distant or unattainable, but something that he builds every day with his choices and with the love he gives and receives. Mateus decides not to return to his old corporate life. Instead, he continues to work with underserved communities, but now with a new focus. Inspired by his mother's recovery and the importance of family and community, Mateus decides to open an NGO dedicated to helping families in vulnerable situations, offering emotional, legal, and practical support to those who need it. Anna, who previously had doubts about the future, now joins Mateus in this new project. Together, they create a space where they can use their skills to help others, but also to build something meaningful for themselves. They become true partners, not only in life, but also in work, and find in the NGO a new purpose and a new way of living their destiny. Over time, the NGO founded by Mateus and Anna begins to gain strength and recognition. The project, initially modest, focused on serving just a few local families, expands quickly, attracting volunteers, donations, and support from the community. Matthew realizes that all his previous experiences, both successes and failures, have prepared him for this moment. He has finally found a purpose that is genuinely meaningful to him and those around him. Dona Clara, although still weak, proudly follows her son's progress. She sees how much he has grown, not only as a professional, but mainly as a human being. The relationship between them becomes even closer, with Mateus dedicating time to be with her, enjoying every moment and ensuring that she has a good quality of life. Anna, in turn, finds a new vocation alongside Mateus. Using her legal skills, she becomes a key player in the NGO, offering legal guidance to the families served, helping to ensure that their rights are respected and that they can access essential services. The couple, who were once on the verge of collapse, are now more united than ever, working side by side and sharing the joy of seeing the positive impact of their actions on people's lives. The story of Mateus and Anna begins to inspire others around, and they are invited to share their experience at conferences, community events, and even in the media. Despite the attention, they remain humble, focused on their work and the mission of helping others. Mateus learns to deal with the pressure of leading such a large project, and Anna finds balance between her personal and professional life, something that previously seemed impossible. Meanwhile, Mateus resolves some outstanding issues in his life. He visits his old job and, in a sincere conversation with his old boss, thanks him for the opportunity he had and explains why he chose to follow a different path. The boss, who was initially disappointed with Mateus' decision, expresses his admiration for Mateus' courage and integrity, wishing him success in his new journey. With the growth of the NGO, Mateus and Anna begin to form a solid team, delegating responsibilities and creating a support system that allows the project to function without them needing to be present all the time. This gives them more time to focus on other areas of their lives, such as their desire to start a family. On the anniversary of Dona Clara's recovery, Mateus and Anna organize a big celebration in the community, bringing together everyone who was touched by the NGO's work. It's a day full of joy, gratitude, and celebration of love, life, and second chances. During the event, Mateus gives an emotional speech, thanking everyone for believing in the project and for being part of this transformative journey. Dona Clara, although still fragile, actively participates in the celebration. She is honored by the community, who sees her as the silent force behind Mateus, the woman who always believed in her son and encouraged him to follow his heart. The event is a milestone in the lives of Mateus and Anna, a confirmation that despite all the challenges, they're on the right path after the celebration. Mateus and Anna walk along the beach at dusk, reflecting on everything they have been through and how they arrived until then. They talk about the future, their dreams, and how they want to continue making a difference in the world. Mateus, now more serene and at peace with himself, expresses his gratitude for having found his true purpose and for having Anna by his side in every step of the journey. At that moment, to the sound of the waves and with the sun setting on the horizon, Mateus he kneels in the sand and, holding Anna's hand, asks her to marry him. Anna, surprised and moved, accepts without hesitation, and they hug, feeling the fullness of the moment. The wedding is held in a simple and intimate ceremony, surrounded by the family, friends, and community members who have become an important part of their lives. It is a celebration of love, resilience, and faith in destiny, a destiny that they discovered together, building it day after day with love, dedication, and purpose. Years later, Mateus and Anna continue working at the NGO, which has expanded to other regions from Brazil, helping thousands of families build a better life. They have 2 children, who grow up following their parents' example and learn from an early age the importance of serving others and living with integrity and purpose. Dona Clara, despite her advanced age, lives her last years surrounded by love and affection, knowing that she left a legacy of values and teachings that will continue to impact generations. Matthew and Anna, now a complete family, feel fulfilled and at peace with the path they chose. They continue to believe that destiny is something that is built with the choices we make, and that, by following our hearts and taking care of those we love, we discover our true purpose. The story ends with Mateus, Anna, and their children on a walk along the same beach where Mateus proposed to her. They look at the horizon and, with smiles on their faces, feel grateful for everything life has given them. The future is still uncertain, but they know that, together, they can face any challenge and continue building their destiny, one day at a time.